The arena was a swaying panorama of light, color, tumbling and movement. For the Stuttgart Organizing Committee, this party was the result of over 2 years of planning, and for the audience, a warm feeling of global spirit and the anticipation of events ahead. And we are back at the Hans-Martin Schleyer Halle, the World Championships of Gymnastics. This is the 5th rotation now, and on parallel bars, the Soviet Union, and the man you're looking at is Valery Belenki.
Boy, this routine is clean. Plenty of underbar work, perfect upper bar work. Looks to him like it's just a casual day on the old parallel bar.
We keep saying that this Soviet is having a great meet, that Soviet's having a great meet, and they're all true. Belenki has a pair of 9.9s. He had a 9.9 in vault, he had a 9.9 on pommel horse.
And 2 9.7s to go with that. Having a very solid day for him. He only scored a 9.55 in the compulsory, so he did have a little trouble. And of all the compulsory exercises, parallel bars is one of the trickiest routines.
Also of note here, one of the keys to a successful team competition is your first few guys off the bat. They set the pace, they set the base score that the others build on. So often we look at those big 10s and 9.9s at the end, but they play a really important role here.
And the Soviets are very smart in how they do their order, because Belenki is new. He will be a great performer in the future, but he's having to go up early all the time to set the pace for the more established teammates.
And he had a 9.75 in that first routine. So we move now to the high bar, and Enrico Ambros of East Germany.
Oh, and he does a laid out Kovacs. I'm so glad we got to see that. That's a double layout over the bar to a regrasp. That's the first time it's been done in a World Championships. That straddle move is called a Stalder, named after Joseph Stalder, a famous Swiss gymnast. Here comes his dismount, a laid out double back. Boy, that's a pretty routine.
Excellent.
And how exciting to see that move. Kovacs in the laid out position.
Boy, is he pumped up, and his teammates are equally pumped up. Meanwhile, back to parallel bars, we'll let you know how Kovacs, or Ambros did. Meanwhile, Vitaly Marinic, the Soviet Union, on parallel bars.
Had a little trouble on that move there, had to bend his arms.
Did we tell you Belenki had a 9.75? I don't know if we mentioned that or not, but he did.
Marinic, we saw him this year in the American Cup. He came to the United States and won that competition. Doesn't look too pleased with that routine.
Meanwhile, Enrico Ambros of East Germany, and we still haven't seen a score for him, but look at this again.
Yeah, this is really a great opportunity to see what he does here. He's going to do a double laid out backflip over the bar. Look at him straining to see the bar to regrasp it. Bingo. Nothing to it.
9.7 is the score for Ambros.
Almost had a high bar sandwich there, didn't he?
And now it is Jörg Berendt. Berendt also having a good competition here.
The East Germans have a really outrageous high bar routine. The whole team does really incredibly difficult exercises with all the latest, greatest flying tricks. There's one-arm giant sequence. There's a reverse hex with his legs together, very powerfully done. There's a straddle one, right to a blind change. Two very big release moves because he used so much power and so much speed. There's a straddle front out of the invert giant swings.
Marinic of the Soviet Union, 9.7 on parallel bars.
And a triple back to finish. 3 huge release moves and a triple back to finish. Now, we mentioned the Americans doing well. Well, the Americans do look very good here, but they're not doing that kind of level of difficulty. Only Lance Ringnold showed 3 release moves of that nature. Here's the triple backflip. Looked like he was in a little close to me. But he's very high. Torques that thing around and finishes about 6 feet in the air. Has time to spot the landing.
Now we wait for his score. Something you mentioned a little while ago, Kathy, too, probably worth mentioning here again, too, that there's kind of a competition within the competition on every one of these teams.
Exactly. We mentioned earlier that only 3 per team can make it to the all-around finals in the top 36. Now, mind you, the Soviets are all in the top 36, if not the top 10, but only 3 of them can go on into the all-around finals. And in the individual event finals, only 2 per country can make it. So they're really struggling to try and get into finals.
Jörg Berendt, meanwhile, sits and waits just like you and I. And while we do wait, we will jump off the track for just a moment here. We're at the Hans-Martin Schleyer Halle here in Stuttgart. These are the World Gymnastics Championships. And we'll be back with more after this. These, of course, the World Championships of Gymnastics. Igor Korobczynski, we've talked about him on numerous occasions. Here he is on parallel bars.
Once again, very beautiful giant swing. There's the Diamidov, an extra quarter turn to a glide on the side.
9-7 for Jörg Berendt on high bar. We'll speak more of that in a
couple
moment.
steps there in the handstand. From that Stutz, looked like everything was okay, but he overdid it a little bit and had to take 2 steps with his hands, 1/10 of a point deduction for each step.
Talk about the fact we're jumping from event to event here, or discipline to discipline, and here is Silvio Kroll once more.
Well, this is really the best opportunity, although we're going all over the gym. It's the best opportunity to see these outrageous routines because, as you mentioned, there are 6 events going on at once, and in every case, there are some really outrageous elements being done. This is Silvio Kroll, of course, does an outrageous high bar routine, has been very well known for not only the great routines, but some seriously great crashes. This guy is all over the gym with his exercise. Look at that. 1.5 twisting double front for a dismount. Boy, that was a big routine.
Gotta like that, but just to speak for just a moment, we saw Enrico Ambros of East Germany and Jörg Berendt of East Germany, both of whom seemed to really stick their routine, and they both wound up with 9-7s.
That sounds like a low score. They were a little sloppy, though. That's the thing about the East Germans. They do a lot of big tricks, but they tend to be a little sloppier than the very clean Soviets. Notice a little form break here and there, and a little hop on the landing for Silvio Kroll.
So Silvio Kroll now will play the waiting game. And meanwhile, we go to the vault. And in the vault competition, it is German of Romania. Marius German. It's a good event for him, is it not?
Yes, in fact, German did a terrific job in the competition in the compulsories. He's in 14th place. 9-8 was his best score, and that was here in the vault competition. This is the optional round, so he can do whatever vault he chooses. And wow, there's a laid out full twisting Kasamatsu with perfect form, and he lands standing straight up and down. That's going to score very well.
Well, while we wait for his score, we'll tell you Silvio Kroll on the high bar, 9-8.
Let's see what he does here on this vault. He has good speed. He's going to do what they call a round off onto the horse and then push like crazy. That horse is spring loaded, by the way, so you get a little more air time. Crank a couple of twists, and he lands in excellent position. That's one of the more difficult vaults being done right now. The judges are looking for terrific height, good distance from the horse, and of course, very clean form in the air.
9-9 the score for Marius German of Romania. Excellent. We're looking at an overall view of a virtual sellout here at Hans-Martin Schleyer Halle. On the parallel bars, it is Vladimir Artemov. Artemov. I'm going to get that name right before this competition is over, I promise. Sort of leader of the pack amongst the Soviets, but boy, he's got a lot of competition on his own team today.
Well, if he's going to pick up any ground on his teammates, it's probably going to be on this event. He is former world champion on this event, and really, truly a master of the parallel bars. Does all of the elements well. There's an underbar skill. Peach hand, and then a drop peach with a half. Notice the perfect form, and the best thing is the rhythm. Watch how he just sets up every element hits every position right on top. He squeezes all the positions out. Back toss, right to the top. There's the pike double.
How good?
Incredibly good. I think we were looking at a 10, but he did take a little bobble on the landing. And I don't know if they'll give him the perfect score, but there's no reason he shouldn't deserve it other than that little teeny step on the landing with the pike double back. Look at the height on those back tosses. He's up there and he just floats it down, catches him perfectly on top in the handstand position. There's the pike double. He's just a little short of rotation, has to bend his knees a hair there. And of course that one step will be a 1/10 of a point.
9-9 the score for Artyomov. And you heard Kathy Johnson talk a few moments ago about the competition just amongst each team, and particularly so amongst the Soviets. Listen to these scores. There are 6 competitors here amongst the men from the Soviet Union. Only 3 will go to the all-around competition. Listen to these scores. Korobchinsky 108, Artyomov 107.8, Valentin Mogilny 107.6, Varnich 107.3, Belenki 106.95. It is that close and still up for grabs. Only 3 go on to the all-around. We'll go on to this. This is Wang Chongsheng, who earlier, check that, Li Chongyang, China, on floor exercise. Wang Chongsheng earlier hurt an elbow, as you saw.
Li Chongyang opened with a full twisting double layout. Keep in mind that the judges are looking for the gymnasts to cover the complete floor area, which is 20 feet, 40 feet by 40 feet. They're looking for 3 different acrobatic connections or tumbling passes. They're looking for a strength part of at least B value or mid-range value, and 1 static element. As you'll see, he performs right here. This is a scale. The judges need to see a static element on either 1 foot or 1 hand. And most of the gymnasts do that right before the last tumbling pass so they can catch their breath and set up the last run, which is a laid out double back, and he sticks it.
So an excellent routine for Li Chongyang, but remember the Chinese now, because of the injury to Wang Chongsheng, have to count the other 5 scores. And amongst those other 5 scores, Li Ge had a 9.0 or 9, and that probably is not going to hold up to the East Germans, with whom they are fighting for 2nd place.
This is the opening tumbling run. He does a layout, full in the middle. Notice the terrific form, and he lands perfectly straight up and down. The last tumbling run was the laid out double back, which the only one we've seen other in this competition to do a layout double back for a dismount was Korobchinsky, and he's currently laying the all around.
So we head now for the 6th and final rotation here at the Hans Martin Schleierhalle in Stuttgart, Germany, city of 600,000 people, rich in history. And on videotape now, we will go back and take a look at a floor exercise of Ma Zheng.
The Chinese are very powerful tumblers. Remember Tong Fei and Li Ning in the '84 Olympic Games? Li Ning now retired from gymnastics, as is Tong Fei. In fact, Tong Fei, now the assistant coach at Stanford, and coaching a couple of the Americans that are competing here, Tim Ryan and Conrad Borsang at Stanford University. This exercise was very clean, the form. Here's the 3rd tumbling run, a side somersault. Most of the gymnasts use that 3rd tumbling run to sort of take a minute to catch their breath, because the judges really need to see powerful opening and powerful closing tumbling runs. And although it would be nice to see the gymnasts do more on that 3rd tumbling run, many of them are using it as an opportunity to rest up so they can finish with a big move like that, the full twisting double back. Strong routine.
Excellent routine for him. And as we mentioned, that was worth a 9.7. And the problem there, of course, for the Chinese is that Li Ge had a 9, and that cost them. A little bit earlier.